Hello friends and welcome to a new video. In today's video, we're hauling some books. I didn't realize just how big this book haul would be until I collected all the books. Part of the reason is it was my birthday, and so I did receive some bookish gifts, and for that I am so grateful. From some of you as well, you know who you are, thank you so much. As well as some books from my family, and a lot of them were also thrifted as well, so they've just been accumulating and we've got a lot of books to get through. We'll start off with the gifts and then go over to the books that I've just been collecting over the last few months since my last book haul. But starting off with the gifts, the first two items are not books, but they are bookish, and I am just so grateful for these, and when I saw them, I may have screamed of excitement. The first item is a vase, and it is this Anne of Green Gables vase that I am absolutely in love with. It says it's delightful when your imaginations come true. That is the truth. But this is just stunning, and it's ceramic and it's beautiful, and I just can't get enough of it. This is absolutely gorgeous. And along with the vase, I also received the complete Anne of Green Gables movie series. So we have Anne of Green Gables, the sequel, and the continuing story, and the joy. I can't even express the joy that I'm feeling right now. When I watch Anne of Green Gables, I don't want it to end. I wish I was there. These characters feel so real to me. I'm just in love. The vase and the movies, along with the next few items, were all gifted from family, and I'm just so grateful. And this next one is from my sister, and that is this unabridged and complete Fairytales by Hans Christian Andersen edition. And this she actually found at a thrift store, and it's from the 70s as well. And it was kept in such good condition. It is just so beautiful. I love it so much. It has quite simple illustrations. They're not color illustrations, but it doesn't matter at all. I am obsessed with this. I love fairy tales. I love Hans Christian Andersen so much, and this just brings me so much joy. I'm so grateful. My sister also found these adorable Christmas stories at the thrift store as well. So we first have this little collection of Christmas carols, and they're all illustrated by Diane Good. Some of these are coming apart, but they're just so cute. There's like We Three Kings. There's just one there. And Angels We Have Heard on High's another. I just think it's so precious. And then we also have The Fir Tree by Hans Christian Andersen and The Night Before Christmas by Clement C. Moore, and they're just so cute. My other sister got me this absolutely stunning cookbook, and I probably screamed when I opened this too. And I'm talking about the Downton Abbey cookbook. I'm just in awe right now. Like, this is absolutely gorgeous, absolutely stunning. Downton Abbey is my favorite period show. I'm obsessed, absolutely obsessed with it. Like, look at that, look at that. Oh my goodness. We got the downstairs crew. This I am gonna have to make for Christmas. It is a Yule log, and just the way it's set up, oh my gosh. I could gush all day about this, but this isn't the only Downton Abbey item that I received. My sister knows I love to cook, so she didn't get me just the cookbook. She also got me a Downton Abbey apron, and I could cry. And then for my third sister, I received this beautiful Puffin and Bloom collection of 3 of Jane Austen's works. They are just beautiful. They are perfection. Let's take a look at them. So we have Emma in this beautiful pale pink edition, which I love so much. We also have Sense and Sensibility, and I love the dark blue. Just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I love it. And then we have the beautiful Pride and Prejudice. Oh my gosh. I'm in love. Absolutely in love. I love how much my family knows me. No one in my family likes to read nearly as much as I do, but the fact that they know what I love just brings me so much joy. The next few items are from some other family members and some of you as well, which just means the world to me. Thank you so much. So next up is A Picture of Murder by T.E. Kinsey. This is book 4 in the Lady Hardcastle series. Slowly collecting the series and making my way through it. I just read book 3 and the novella 3.5, I guess it is. So I'm very excited to have book 4, and I believe this one is set in the fall time, so very excited to read it. We'll definitely be saving it for next fall. I also received books 5, 6, and 7 in the Emma M. Lyon series, and am so overjoyed. I'm so happy. Just looking at these brings such a smile to my face. This series is so much fun. It's set in like a pseudo England, Victorian era England, And our heroine, Emma, this is fully epistolary, so it's her journal entries, and she's just telling us about her life and what she's getting up to. She lives with her awful, awful cousin Archibald, and she loves to read, and just a lot of weird things are happening in this little village that she lives in. There's a very mysterious man living next door, and the series is just so unique. I've never read anything like it, but I love it. So thank you so much to those of you who gifted me these volumes. I am just beyond excited. I also received Pat of Silverbush by Ella Montgomery, and I'm so excited about this one. I actually know nothing about it. It says, Patricia Gardner loved Silverbush more than anything else in the world. She was born and raised in the beautiful old-fashioned house on Prince Edward Island, where things always seemed the same and good things never changed. But things do change at Silverbush. From her first day at school to the arrival of her new baby sister, from her aunt's joyous wedding to her own first romance. Through it all, Pat shares her experiences with her beloved friends and discovers the one thing that truly never changes, the beauty and peace she will always find at Silverbush, the house that remembers her whole life. That sounds so wholesome and precious, and I love Ella Montgomery, and I'm so excited. I also received Night Falls on Predicament Avenue by Jamie Jo Wright, and I'm so excited for this one as well. I believe this is one of her newer releases. It says, in 1910, Effie James is committed to doing anything to save her younger sister, who witnessed a shocking murder, leaving her mute and in danger of the killer's retribution. Effie must prove what her sister saw, but when a British gentleman arrives, he disrupts Effie's quest with his attempts to locate his wife, Isabel Addington, who was last seen at the supposed crime scene in the abandoned house at 322 Predicament Avenue. Just as Effie discovers what she seeks, she finds that the blood staining the walls will forever link her to a scandal she couldn't imagine, and to a woman whose secrets promise to curse anyone who would expose them. A century later, Nora Richmond grapples with social anxiety and grief as she runs her late great-aunt's bed and breakfast on Predicament Avenue. But Nora has little affection for the house and is committed only to carrying out her murdered sister's dreams until crime historian and podcaster Sebastian Blaine arrives to investigate the ghostly legacy of the house's claim to fame, the murder of Isabel Addington. When a guest is found dead, the incident is linked to Isabel's murder, and Nora and Sebastian must work together to uncover the century-old curse that has wrapped 322 Predicament Avenue in its clutches and threatens far more death. That sounds insane. I am so excited to read this. All right, so the rest of the books are a mix of thrifted and pre-orders and books that I picked up from Indigo when I went shopping, a bit of a mix, and I'm very excited for all of these books as well. So we'll start off with a few Christmas stories. First is Jane and the 12 Days of Christmas by Stephanie Barron. This is one of the later books in her Jane Austen mystery series. And I have read Jane and the Year Without a Summer and really enjoyed it, so I'm very excited to read this one as well. I believe it's set during a Christmas party. It starts on Christmas Eve and then goes through the 12 days of Christmas, and a death occurs which is thought by many to be accidental, but Jane does not believe it is an accidental death. And that's all I know about the story, and I don't want to know too much else, but I'm hopeful that I'll get to it in December. I am really excited for this. Another book that I don't want to know too much about before I read it is A Boy Called Christmas by Matt Haig. Everyone that I trust who has read this book has very much enjoyed it, and I really hope that I do as well. I heard it's whimsical and pulls at your heartstrings and is a very festive read, and I really hope I can get to it this Christmas as well, but I'm very excited. And this next one is a pre-order, and I'm not usually the pre-ordering type. I often will wait until a book's been out for a while, see what people say about it, and then read it, but I knew as soon as I saw this book was going to be published that it's one I want to read. And I'm talking about Spectacular by Stephanie Garber. I am not huge on fantasy, especially YA fantasy, but I love Caraval. It's one of the first YA fantasy series I've ever read. Even though I read them a few years ago, there's still this feeling of nostalgia, probably because they're one of the first YA fantasies I've ever read and really got me into the genre. And I just love the story. I love Stephanie Garber's writing and worlds as well, what she creates. And this is a Christmas story, and I knew I needed to get it. And it is also one of the most beautiful books I have ever seen. Like, it is stunning. I've got some gold foiling, which is beautiful, and the end papers are also stunning. So I'm just so excited about this book. I have no idea what the story entails. I don't want to know anything going in. I just want to spend some time with Scarlett and Donatella, and we'll see if Julian and Legend are present. We shall see, but I'm very excited for this as well. I'm saying that for every single book. I'm so excited, but truly I am so excited. Next up, we have The Sisters of Sea View and A Winter by the Sea by Julie Klassen. These are the first two books in, what series is it? On Devonshire Shores. And although Julie Klassen is kind of hit or miss, like some of her books I really love, and then some I don't care for all that much. I could not pass these up because I saw them at a used bookstore, and I never ever see Christian fiction at that used bookstore. I rarely ever see Christian fiction in stores here anyway, so I was very, very excited to see these, and they are in great condition for used books and were great prices, and I had to get them. And I am assuming, as most of her books are, they are Regency romances. I could be wrong, but I heard some people compare the sisterhood to that of Eleanor and Marianne Dashwood in this story. It has a lot to do with sibling dynamics and everything, which I love. I love stories where sisters and just siblings in general, that's like a big part of the plot, is their relationships with each other. I love that so much. So I'm very, very hopeful that I'll enjoy these. Speaking of Regency romances, I also picked up this book, which I believe the title is Charity Envieth Not, and I think the series is George Knightley Esquire. But anyway, it is by Barbara Cornthwaite, and it is, I believe, the events of Emma, but from George Knightley's perspective. It says, George Knightley is the owner of a considerable estate, a landlord, a magistrate, and a bachelor, a state that his brother John is perpetually prodding him to change. Thankfully, there is no one remotely suitable in his entire circle of acquaintance, or so he thinks. An unwanted interloper, a few romantic mishaps among his friends, and the dawning realization that Emma Woodhouse is no longer a child might just change everything. I'm very, very curious about this book. I love Mr. Knightley so much, and I'm just curious to see how the author portrays his perspective. The only thing I don't like about this book is how tiny the font is, but either way, I'm very excited. Next up is The Muse of Maiden Lane by Mimi Matthews. This is the 4th book in her Bells of London series, and it's another one that I pre-ordered. This year, I think I've pre-ordered more than any other year, but I am so beyond excited, but also a little nervous for this book. The first 2 books in the series I enjoyed, but there were aspects of them that didn't quite work for me. They're a little bit too about to cross my boundaries when it comes to content, just a smidge. But the 3rd book was an all-time favorite romance. I loved it so much, and I'm really hopeful that I'll love this one as well. The summary does not spoil the previous books in the series. It says, Stella Hobhouse is a brilliant writer, a stalwart friend, a skilled sketch artist, and completely overlooked. Her outmoded gray hair makes her invisible to London society. Between her brother's pious restrictions and her dwindling inheritance, Stella is on the verge of a lifetime marooned in Derbyshire as a spinster, unless she does something drastic, like posing for a daring new style of portrait by the only man who's ever really seen her. Aspiring painter Teddy Hayes knows true beauty when he sees it. He would never ask Stella to risk her reputation as an artist's model, but in the 5 years since a virulent bout of scarlet fever left him partially paralyzed, Teddy has learned to heed good fortune when he finds it. He'll do anything to persuade his muse to pose for him, even if he must offer her a marriage of convenience. After all, though Teddy has yearned to trace Stella's luminous beauty on canvas ever since their first chance meeting, her heart is what he truly aches to capture. I'm not gonna lie, I am a little bit nervous about this one. I don't know how it's gonna go, but I really, really, really hope that I love it. Next up is The Bletchley Riddle. This is a middle grade written by both Ruta Sepetys and Steve Sheinkin. I've never actually heard of this author, but Ruta Sepetys is definitely a favorite historical fiction writer, and I'm very, very excited for this one. It is set in the summer of 1940. It says, these days you don't know who you can trust or who might be a spy. Math genius Jacob Novis has been recruited to the secret code-breaking center at Bletchley Park. As Jacob works to crack the Nazis' Enigma cipher, his younger sister Lizzie has an undercover mission of her own to find their mother. Filled with codes to decipher and mysteries to unravel, this is the unput-downable historical adventure that will have you on the edge of your seat. I do love a good middle grade, and I've always loved World War II historical fiction, so I'm definitely looking forward to it. Speaking of the World Wars, these next 3 books are all part of a series that I absolutely adore, and I'm talking about the Maisie Dobbs series. And I don't know what order these come in, but they are books 7, 8, and 9. I do have books 1 to 6. I'm currently reading book 6, and I'm hoping to continue the series. It's definitely a favorite. So we have A Lesson in Secrets. We also have Elegy for Eddie and The Mapping of Love and Death. These 3 are all set in the 1930s, in the early to mid 1930s. And I believe later in the series, we do enter like World War II. But Maisie Dobbs, if you don't know what the series is about, she is a private investigator and a psychologist, and it is not a cozy mystery series. They're definitely a lot more emotionally gripping and deal with some very difficult topics as well. These books are not light, fluffy reads by any means, but I just love them so much. I love Maisie as a character, and I love Billy Beale so much. This series is incredible, and I'm so excited to continue. Another favorite series is the Mrs. Pollifax series, and I got the next 2 books that I need for my collection. We have Mrs. Pollifax and the Hong Kong Buddha, and Mrs. Pollifax on the China Station. Mrs. Pollifax is a wonderful woman in her 60s who goes on missions for the CIA. She's kind of a courier and finds herself in so many different scrapes on so many different adventures. There's lots of humor, and this series is just the absolute best. I love it so much. Another book that I pre-ordered and I'm very excited to read is Brave by Muse Andrews. She's my favorite biblical fiction author, and I was so excited when I heard this book was coming out. My mom has actually started reading it, so she is almost halfway through and she's loving it, which is making me even more excited to read this book. I can't wait. This one is about one of King David's wives, and I don't know how to pronounce her name. I think it's Ahinoam, but she's one of the many wives of David mentioned in the Bible, and I'm just really curious to see how Muse Andrews tells her story. Obviously with biblical fiction, there is a lot of fiction because it's biblical fiction, but Muse Andrews is amazing with her research, absolutely amazing, and I always trust her. I trust the stories that she tells, and I can't wait to read this one. And last but not least, this series I bought because I had started the first book on Kindle and I fell head over heels in love, which was absolutely shocking to me because it is a contemporary Christian romance. I don't like contemporary all that much. It is not a genre that I'm drawn to, definitely outside of my comfort zone, and definitely a genre where 5 stars are few and far between. But this first book I loved so much and I needed a physical copy of it, so I bought it. I bought the whole trilogy because I couldn't help myself, and I'm talking about the Muir Harbor trilogy. Is it Muir? Muir? In my head, it's Muir Harbor. Kind of hard to say. But anyways, we have the first book, which is Autumn by the Sea, and this was just beautiful. I loved it. The second book is A Seaside Wonder. That is one of the most beautiful book covers I've ever seen. And the third book is Wedding at Sea. And I am not going to read the summaries for A Seaside Wonder and Wedding at Sea because there are a lot of unanswered questions from book 1. It's definitely a series you need to read in order. There is an overarching plot, 100%. You would have heard me talk about Autumn by the Sea already in my November wrap-up, so that's all I'm going to say about this series, but I loved the first book so much, and I'm hoping to read the second book soon because I do believe it is set just before Christmas and then after as well, so it's like November to January, I think. I loved the first book. Can't wait to continue. But that is the book haul, friends. I am just beyond grateful for every single book. Books are my love language. They bring me joy. If you've read the books that I've hauled, please let me know. I want to hear your thoughts. I want to know if you liked the books, if you think I'll like them, even if you think I won't like the books that I've mentioned that I haven't read yet. Please do let me know what your thoughts are. Thank you so much, friends, for watching this BOOKMAS video, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.